Billionaire Productivity Secrets, the 1,000-minute rule. Welcome to the video. Welcome to the video. So in this video, I want to share with you a concept that billionaires use, billionaires with a B. This is a concept that billionaires use to structure their day and become successful. And the beautiful thing about this concept that I'm going to share with you in just a moment is that it does not require a significant amount of effort. It doesn't require any money. You don't have to have any crazy connections. You don't have any connections at all to use this process. You don't really need much at all. You simply need to know it exists, and you need to know how to actually implement this routine, this structure, this concept into your life. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to do just that. Now, over the years, what I've come to realize, the factor that differentiates average people from extraordinary people, the ordinary from the extraordinary, is that ordinary people don't realize that structuring your day is the secret recipe to success. This is the secret ingredient. You always see people online, you see people on YouTube, people on Instagram, social media, whatever. At least I come across these people. And they're always asking, what is that hack? What is that thing that I need to do to get to that next level? What am I missing? What separates me from the six-figure earners, the millionaires, the billionaires, whatever, the people who are really crushing it in life and achieving everything that they want to achieve? This is it. This is it right here. This is the secret ingredient to your success. And the secret ingredient, like I said, it's simply that you know how to structure your day. So I'm going to show you exactly in this video a concept that you can use to make structuring your day simple and to really hammer home exactly what you need to be doing every single day. What I want you to understand is that most people don't have any structure at all. And this is why they ghost in life. I've done other videos in the past about how this lack of structure leads to people just kind of wandering through life. I call it ghosting in life. And ghosting in life is pretty much when you barely exist. It's when you go through the routine, you go to work, you come home, you do your chores at home, whatever, you watch TV, but you don't really have a direction in life. You're not doing anything of merit. You're not doing anything of purpose. You just exist, but barely exist. You don't want to be that kind of person. You want to have structure, and you don't want to be a ghost in life. You want to achieve things. I always tell people, what I think the key to life is achieving eudaimonia, or at least striving for it, because you'll never truly get it. Like, you'll never have a 100% perfect life, and that's actually the best case scenario, not having a perfect life. You always want to be leveling up and striving for this ideal version of yourself in your mind. And the way you get that is by building up your health, your wealth, and your relationship pillars, as I call them. Striving to build those pillars up is the opposite of ghosting, because you're living with purpose. That's what you want to be doing. That's what most people don't do. Again, most people do not have structure. Most people ghost in life. So if you follow the step-by-step process that I'm going to share with you, you will not be a ghost in life any longer. You will not feel lost. You will know exactly what to do, and you'll know kind of how much value the things you're doing are worth. And that's a key idea that you're going to understand shortly as we get through this video. But before I get into the actual step-by-step process, I do want to share this with you, a little shameless self-plug. If you're trying to achieve your goals this year, I highly recommend you check out my short Productivity Accelerator Masterclass. In this masterclass, it's 30 minutes long, it's super short, and you'll learn my 3-step framework to guarantee every day is successful, and you'll understand how to easily achieve your goals. And this is whether they're physical goals, if you want to get in better shape, if you want to just be healthier in general, if you want to look better, feel better, have better mental health, if you want to get more money, if you want to learn how to invest better, if you want to become more wealthy, or if you want to be more social, find a girlfriend, find a wife, find a boyfriend, husband, whatever, depending on who you are watching this, or just be more social in general and go out and make more friends. Whatever it is you want to do, you will learn the step-by-step process to achieve that by watching this 30-minute video. Again, it's super short and it's super free, so there's no risk in checking it out. If you are interested in watching that video, there's a link below in the description. I think it should be the first link in my description. It'll take you straight there. It's, again, 30-minute video, super short. If you want to speed it up, you can 2x the time on it and watch it in 15 minutes, if that's your style. But let's get back to the video. Now, full disclosure before I get into the actual step-by-step process. The concept I'm going to share with you, I did not create, and I did not name this. However, for the various clients that I've had, and long before I heard this person that I'm going to talk about in just a second share this concept, I've been using this exact same concept for my clients and in my own life. And I found it just kind of fascinating that I see this guy who is essentially a billionaire and other people who are billionaires and multimillionaires using this exact same concept. Not only are they using this concept, they live by this concept. They explain that this is the concept that they used to go from, say, poor or having a little bit of money to having a lot of money. So that I just want to kind of let you kind of give that little disclosure there, let you understand that I'm not making this concept up. This is something I've discovered, but it seems other people who are credible, more credible than myself perhaps, this is also a concept that they've discovered, and this is what has led them to achieve the success that they currently have. Now, the person who I'm sort of modeling this concept from, his name is Ryan Serhant. He's the one that kind of coined this whole 1,000-minute rule. And I kind of wanted to give a little introduction to him and give a little summary of him, just in case you're not familiar with him. As someone who does real estate myself, I'm familiar with him, but I know not everyone does real estate. If you're watching this video, you might not be that familiar with real estate or the figures in the real estate industry. So, as you can see from the various pictures, he's a renowned real estate broker, author, TV personality. He used to be on the show called Million Dollar Listing. He was super famous from the show. He's the founder and CEO of Serhant, a multi-dimensional real estate brokerage firm known for its innovative approach to selling properties. He just created that during the heart of COVID in 2020, which is fantastic. It's amazing how many records he's been crushing in the past 4 years. It hasn't been that long, really. He gained his fame as a star of Bravo's hit show, Million Dollar Listing New York, where he showcased his exceptional sales skills and charismatic personality. Over his career, he has closed billions with a B of dollars in real estate transactions, making him one of the most successful brokers in the industry. And arguably, he might be the most successful broker in the industry. I don't know if there's another one that's more successful, but if he's not the main one, he's probably top 5, maybe top 3. I don't know. But he is someone very credible and someone worth listening to. And his story is very interesting. I won't get super deep into it here because I don't want to make this video longer than it needs to be. But out of all the entrepreneurs I see online and all the people who write books and who claim to be public figures and whatever, he's probably one of the few that I actually think is worth listening to. His story is quite remarkable. It's not necessarily a rags to riches story, but it is kind of a story of being dropped off in an unfamiliar land. I forget where he's from, I think from Texas, and he moved to New York. And with not much money, he didn't have $0, but he didn't have a lot of money. At least not a lot of money for New York. Kind of being dropped off, jumping into real estate, kind of starting from scratch, and over a little over a decade, building up this great career for himself, but also building his own brokerage, which is a feat in itself. It's quite an accomplishment. And I think he's only about now 39, 40, 41 years old, super young. It's quite an accomplishment. So I did want to give him his flowers, so to speak, and really boast about him because I truly think that's an extraordinary feat. But if you find any of that fascinating or if you find that interesting or motivating, this is the reason why I'm sharing this video with you, because the rule he always says led him to that success is what I'm going to share with you in just a second. Now, as far as the 1,000-minute rule, there are 6 steps to his success. And by the way, I was actually the thing that prompted me to make this video is I've been kind of binging a few of I was watching his new show. I'll go back really quick. He has a new show that came out recently on Netflix called Owning Manhattan. It's very entertaining. I like reality TV and I like real estate. So you put them together and you have me as a fan. Found it an interesting show. And I kind of started re-watching old podcasts of his and watching new ones that I didn't know were even out because he doesn't pop up on my YouTube feed, sadly, or Instagram feed. At least not yet. He probably will soon because I've been binging him. And he kept mentioning this 1,000-minute rule. He would live by it. He would say, oh yeah, I would live by this 1,000-minute rule to kind of guide my day. And as I was listening to him talk about this 1,000-minute rule, I realized it's the exact same strategy I teach my clients. If you've watched any of my Instagram videos or other YouTube videos, you've probably heard me talk about this concept before. I didn't use the 1,000-minute rule, but the strategies that I'm about to share with you were mentioned in other videos. So I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of use his title, use kind of what he calls it, the 1,000-minute rule, and make a video explaining just this concept and the exact steps that I recommend people take to understand this concept because it's such a powerful concept. So powerful, in fact, that Harvard Business Review, as you can kind of see above, I kind of just Googled Harvard Business Review and his name, and this is like the first thing that popped up. They did research on his success, and they determined that his time management abilities were the true key to his success. And of course, he says that time management is a key to his success, but based on his podcast interviews, he thought they were reaching out to talk more about his brokerage itself, and him being kind of a young entrepreneur, a young real estate broker, building this brokerage from the ground up, and they were more fascinated about time management and productivity because they consider that to be the thing that led entrepreneurs and successful people to become more successful, which is why you should be taking notes and paying close attention to this video. By the way, if you want to read the full article and listen to the full podcast, there's a link above. You can't click it, obviously, because it's a YouTube video. But if you just type in Ryan Serhant, Harvard Business Review, this is literally the first thing that pops up. It's super easy to find. It's very recent, as you can see, August 15th, 2023. But the 6 steps that sort of comprise this 1,000-minute rule are as follows. Number 1, calculate the total time available to you. Number 2, know your worth. Number 3, plan out your day. Number 4, execute on the plan. Number 5, review and reflect. And number 6, optimize. And I'm going to walk you through each of those steps. I'm going to walk you through each of those steps and how you can apply them into your own life. So, step 1, calculate the total time available to you. Now, this is sort of what Ryan Serhant starts with. He always says, you need to determine the amount of minutes that you have in a day. There's 1,440 minutes in a single day. That's 24 hours times 60 minutes. If you subtract the amount of time that you sleep, assuming you sleep for about 7-8 hours, you have about 960 to 1,020 minutes left. And then he simply just rounds it down or up, depending on how much you sleep, to 1,000 minutes. So throughout the entire day, you have 1,000 minutes available to you. And the funny thing about this, one thing I want to throw in here really fast as a little tangent, I find it interesting that no one really talks about time management as a fundamental skill. I've already kind of mentioned this before, but everyone you can think of that's successful in some way use time management to achieve their success. And despite that being the one thing that we all have in common, we all have 24 hours in a day. There are some of us who do not have the height of Dwayne Johnson, for example. Some of us who might not have the good looks of some of these celebrities or movie stars that you might see. Some of us who might not have the natural genetics of maybe like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ronnie Coleman or whoever. You might not have those things, but we all have 24 hours in a day. All of us. But despite that, very few people focus on strategies to use their 24 hours more effectively and more efficiently. So not considering that is, to me, a big mistake. It's a massive mistake. So hopefully by the end of this video, you correct that and you start to take your time, not take your time for granted as much, but understand that all of us have 1,000 minutes every single day. And how you use your minutes is going to determine your future. Now, step 2 is know your worth. And what I recommend people do is evaluate the value of your time. And I think a lot of people don't do this. I wrote a book a few years ago called Better Than Gold. And when I was kind of doing research for that book, it's a short book on time management and productivity and how to effectively manage and structure your day and week. And when doing research, one of the things I noticed is that so many people don't consider the value of their time. And I think the reason for that is that a lot of people, they can't see their time. Like if you go, people will, I'll put it this way. People will go out of their way to save $5. People will go out of their way to save like $10. But people won't go out of their way to save an hour. They'll sit there and have a terrible conversation with somebody and waste time for an hour. They'll sit there and watch Netflix or some other garbage TV or scroll through social media for hours, something that does not benefit them. They'll do that for hours. But if someone tries to rip them off for like $1 or $5 or $10, they lose their minds over that. It makes no sense. But the reason why they do this is because they do not know the value of their time, or at least they don't keep it at the top of their focus. It's not at the top of their mind, the value of their time. And that's a massive mistake. If you don't know how much your time is worth, you're pretty much always throwing away money. I think even Ryan Serhant says in some of his podcasts and some of his interviews, if you had, say, $1,000 in your bank account every single day, would you just throw it away? Like every day, you get $1,000 for free, but the stipulation is that you have to use those $1,000. Would you throw those $1,000 away every single day, or would you use them to get more money? Now, I think a lot of people, sadly, kind of at first thought of listening to that, they'd probably think, well, I have $1,000 a day and I'm going to get another $1,000 tomorrow. So why not throw it away? But this is the mistake most people make, because the reality is that you can get $1,000 every day, but you don't know how long those thousands of dollars, the $1,000 per day, will last. At some point, you're not going to get $1,000 per day because you could sadly die. So it's a mistake to not keep the value of your time at the top of your mind. And so this is kind of the formula that I suggest to people to give their time value, to give their time meaning. And I think once you keep this in mind, this formula that I'm going to share with you, it'll change the way you make decisions, and it'll change the way you perceive how you spend your time. So just to kind of show you this formula, what I recommend people do is, the simple way is, whatever you make an hour at your job, if you have a standard job, apply that to the value of your time. Just make that the value of your time. And so, for example, if you make $10 an hour at working at McDonald's, you work at McDonald's, that's your full-time job, you work 40 hours a week, you are worth $10 an hour. Now, the reality is that all businesses, or at least all good businesses, if they're effective, all good businesses pay you less than what you're truly worth. This is how a business makes profit. They have employees and they pay the employees less than what the employees produce for the company. So in reality, you're not really worth $10 an hour. You could be worth $20 an hour or $30 an hour. Now, what I tell people is, if you want to consider yourself ambitious and if you want to not cheat yourself out of your own value, double it. Whatever you make at your current job, double it. So if you make $10 at McDonald's, double it to 20. And now $20 an hour is what your time is worth. This is kind of the basic formula I recommend for people if you work at a standard job with a standard wage. So if you're not working a salary job, you're just working a per hour job. Now, the formula is going to be slightly different if you work a salary job, or if you're an entrepreneur and you get, if you make a revenue, or if you have a commission structure or something else different. I'm going to explain what the formula for those types of jobs are. If you work a salary job, simply divide your yearly income by 2,000. And this is kind of a general rule, but you can see it applied here. So if you make, say, for example, $50,000 per year, like you don't work per hour, but you have a salary. If your salary is $50,000 per year, simply divide that by 2,000, and that'll give you an approximate amount of what you make per hour. So in this case, you make $25 an hour. Now, again, if you don't consider yourself, worth more than what your job pays you, then cool. Consider your time worth $25 an hour. But if you're ambitious, if you want to go further in life, and you probably do if you're watching this video, double that. So now your time's worth $50 an hour. Let's use also a commission-based job as another example. If you have a commission-based job, my suggestion is this. You can apply the above rule using the average yearly gross income. And so what I mean by that is, say, for example, you're a real estate agent. I brought you that example because we're talking about a real estate agent and I do real estate. You're a real estate agent that makes $100,000 on average. Let's say over the past 5 years, if you took all of the yearly incomes over the past 5 years, you find that you make about $100K, on average. Take that number, divide it by 2,000. You make $50 an hour on average. Again, if you're ambitious, double it. So you make $100 an hour. That's the value of your time, $100 an hour. Now, this leads to step 3. Now that you know how much your time is worth, you need to plan your day effectively. Now, the way you plan your day effectively, and this is what I recommend to people. This is what I recommend to my clients. This is what I do in my life. Every day, every night, I should say, about 10 to 20 minutes before you go to bed, just sit there and plan out your day by the hour. And what I try to do is I start with the time I want to wake up. Then I write in the time I plan on going to bed. And then I fill in the gaps in between with the most important activities for the day that's worth my time. And so, kind of the way I do this is I would sit there with a piece of paper, have a list of things that you want to do to achieve your goal. And if you're watching this, by the way, and you don't have a goal, get a goal. I've done videos on how to create a perfect goal. You can go check those out if you want. But if you don't have a goal, get some priorities. But once you have that, all of the steps required to achieve that goal, list them all out and assign a value to each of these things. A value in the sense of you're ranking them from, say, 1 to 10 on how important they are, how much these steps will lead to you achieving your goal. Every single day, what you should do is fill in the gaps of your time based on the most important tasks first. So the tasks that'll lead to you achieving your desired outcome, schedule those first. And if you want bonus points, you can also assign a value to the tasks based on the projected ROI. And so, just as a slight example to give you an idea of what I mean by this, again, let's use real estate as an example. As a real estate agent, one of the biggest tasks that you have is getting clients. Because, of course, without clients, you can't make money. And the reality of real estate is that it's commission based. You don't have a salary. You need to, have closings in order to make money. And if you're relying on, say, 1 or 2 clients at a time, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because one client could take months to close, sometimes even years. So unless you're happy making, 2 potential sales, because they might not even close at all, unless you're happy making 2 potential sales over the course of a year or whatever, you need to also be doing lead generation activities. And lead generation activities are activities that help you get more clients, essentially. That's the short version of it. So these lead generation activities are worth a lot of money. And because they're worth a lot of money, these are the things you should be scheduling into your day first. Now, what a lot of people do is they try to schedule the other stuff that's not very important. They schedule checking their emails, maybe doing some post on social media that they call marketing, whatever. And that does count as lead gen, but you can further break that down into the types of lead generation activities that are worth the most, that'll get results the fastest and in the most efficient way. People like to do the easy, fun stuff, and they skip out on the hard stuff that actually leads to the results they want. Don't do that. Do the things that matter the most, even when they're difficult. Now, what you need to consider, and I think this is why it's good to kind of know the value of your time, is throughout your day, you're going to get distracted. You're going to want to do other things like watch Netflix. Is the value of those activities worth it to you? So, for example, if you're binging Netflix, say for 3 hours a day, and let's say you're the real estate agent that makes $50 an hour, or your time is worth $100 an hour, let's say $100 an hour, is watching Netflix 3 hours a day worth your time? Are you fine paying $300 every single day to watch Netflix? Let's take groceries, for example. And by the way, you could be fine with that. You could be fine paying $300 to watch Netflix. Maybe you make a lot of money. Maybe you get a lot of clients relatively easily. Maybe it takes you only 2 or 3 hours to get lots of clients. That's totally fine. That's completely fine. But the whole purpose of the step-by-step process is to get you thinking about how you're spending your time. Let's take groceries, for example, as well. Is buying groceries worth your time? If you're the real estate agent whose time is worth $100 an hour, is it worthwhile to go drive to the grocery store for say 30 minutes, go grocery shopping for another 30 minutes, load everything into your car? Maybe that takes another 15 minutes, 30 minutes, drive back home for 30 minutes, unload it. Let's say you spend 3 hours grocery shopping, not including the actual cost of the groceries themselves. So let's say that's another $100. It costs you $400 to go grocery shopping. Is that worth it? I don't know. It might be. It's up to you. Now, me personally, I made a post about this a few weeks ago. I don't go grocery shopping. Rarely, I should say. I'm not saying I never go grocery shopping, but I try my best not to. I don't like grocery shopping. I find it tedious. I find it to be super time consuming. It's boring. I just don't like it. And I get the exact same food every single time I go. So what I do is I pay someone else to go grocery shopping for me. It's a lot cheaper. I think per month I pay like $10 for the subscription service for someone to go grocery shopping for me. As part of the service, I pay for the groceries themselves, and I usually leave a tip to the person that did the shopping for me. So I'm not paying that much money, especially when you factor in like opportunity cost, gas, wear and tear in your car. I'm saving more money by not going grocery shopping, by having someone else do it for me. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but this is the mindset you need to have when you're using your time. Understand that if your time is worth something, you shouldn't be spending time doing activities that's too costly. Does that make sense? Like, if your time is worth $100 an hour, hypothetically, does it make sense to spend $400 buying groceries? Or does it make sense to pay someone $20 to buy groceries for you? Does that math make sense to you? Would you rather spend $100 or $20? This is for you to decide, by the way. But my suggestion is outsource what's affordable and beneath your value. And anything that's around your value or higher, those are the things you should do. And you do those things until you increase your value, quote unquote value of your time enough to where those things aren't worth your time either. And then once those things are not worth your time, then you can outsource those things as well. Hopefully this all makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment below and I'll try to explain this in better detail. I know some people might get this right away. Some people, this might be a unique concept to them. So let me know if it is. But this leads me to step 4. Once you've scheduled your day, stick to the schedule. I've seen so many people, they go through the first steps. They know what they want to do. They have a plan. They have a vision set out. They know the direction they want to go. They map out their entire day. They've planned everything. But then when it comes time to actually do the work, they don't do it. They allow themselves to get distracted by every little thing. The work will not get done for you. There's no hack to getting work done. You have to just get the work done. Now, there's tricks to make it easier to get the work done, or there's tricks to make the work more fun, maybe, or more interesting so that there's a higher chance that you get the work done. But in the grand scheme of things, you need to get the work done. Only you can get the work done. Maybe if you're like a multi-billionaire, you can pay other people to get the work done. But at this point, until you're there, you got to get the work done yourself. So these are some things I recommend people do to help them get the work done. First thing, isolate yourself if necessary. Now, when I used to work as a full-time agent, I used to work at Weichert in this office in Ashburn, Virginia, if you're familiar with that area. And one of the issues I kept facing is that whenever I'd go to the office, if I sat like in the main area of the office where it's kind of hard to describe if you can't see it, but there's a lot of computers out in the main areas that anyone can use. And then there's private offices that are first come, first serve. So if you get there and no one's in there, you can use it as long as you want. And they have like a big glass door that, divides it from the general office area. If I couldn't get one of those private offices and I was forced to sit in the main area where all the computers are, it was almost impossible for me to really get work done. And the reason is because as friendly as people are, people will come up, they'll start having conversations, they'll disregard that you're working, they'll start talking about just random stuff. They're shooting the shit. And it's polite and it's fine in the grand scheme of things. But what they don't realize is that they're wasting your time. Every hour, again, you're the real estate agent whose time is worth $100 an hour. Every hour they sit there and talk about what happened in politics, or every hour they sit there and talk about the latest sports event is $100 taking out of your pocket. Now, if you're fine paying $100 to talk about sports or to talk about politics, then go ahead and do it. That's fine. Again, this is all your choice. There's no right or wrong answer to these things. But if you're not okay with it, then stop having those conversations. And the way to stop having those conversations is sometimes to isolate yourself from people who are inclined to have those conversations. And so this is what I did. If I ever got to the office and there was a private office open, I would use the private office and I would try my best to maybe wave at people as they pass by. but not give them an opening to start a conversation. I would try my best to always be busy when I'm at the office because I didn't want to sit there and have these pointless conversations with people. And when I say pointless, I'm not being rude. I'm saying pointless in the sense that they weren't serving my best interest. I didn't want to have those conversations. So when I didn't want to have those conversations, I isolated myself and I worked. This is something you can do as well. And kind of another part of the story, as time went on, a lot of people started using the private offices, and I just stopped showing up to the office completely, and I would go to Starbucks and just do work there because again, if you weren't in the private office, people would just start talking to you. They'd always have some story to tell you, and you don't want to be rude and just dismiss them, but you also understand in the back of your head, or at least I understood, that I have work to be done. So I would isolate myself by going to Starbucks or just going to the library. Nowadays, I just work from home. It depends. How you isolate yourself is up to you, but this is one strategy you can use to make sure that you don't get distracted. Second thing, remove distractions. This is similar to the first one, but I've also found that some people work in environments that also are distracting. For example, I've seen tons of people who need to get a lot of stuff done in a single day, and they work in front of the TV. Now, there are some people who can work in front of a TV and still be productive and still focus, but there's a lot of people that cannot. There's a lot of people that work in front of the TV and their mind starts to wander. They wonder what stuff's on Netflix. They trick themselves into playing some music on YouTube. They trick themselves into putting a show on in the background, and they don't get anything done because they're constantly bouncing back and forth between the TV and the music and the tasks they have to do and their phone. Phone's another thing. If you're the kind of person that feels the need to scroll through social media every 5 seconds, I recommend two things. Put your phone on airplane mode so it doesn't ring, so it doesn't like prompt you to pick it up, or put your phone in a completely different room. And that's a big one. That's actually the thing I'd recommend the most. Just put your phone in a completely different room and don't pick it up. Like, don't think about getting it. Just put it in a different room. And I remember for myself years ago, I was semi addicted to my cell phone. I would just get caught in like the cycle of just scrolling through social media. And this is back when I used to live by myself. I had an apartment all to myself, 1 bedroom apartment. And so what I would do is I had like a little office set up for myself in my living room, like kind of a little area of my living room where I had my desk and like all my posters and stuff like that, my motivational posters and my books. When I was working, I would put my cell phone either in the bathroom, which was really far away in my apartment, or on my bed, or like, on my counter in my bedroom. Somewhere far away is the point that I'm making. I'd put it far away. And I would do this because if I'm working and I get that slight urge to check my phone, it's not close. And the effort for me to get up and go to my bedroom just to potentially check my phone, there's more effort in doing that than it is to just ignore the phone and like maybe glance at my poster and get back to work instantly. Does that make sense? There's lots of distractions you can have. I did a whole video about how to focus more effectively. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. The point is, remove distractions. And your phone's probably the biggest distraction you have. Put it on airplane mode, put it away from you, put it out of reach, put it in a different room. Make sure you can't hear it. Turn the volume down, put it on vibrate, or just turn it off. That's probably the best thing to do. Keep it away from you. Remove distractions. Don't allow yourself to get off focus. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the final thing I'd recommend to people, use the Pomodoro technique. Now, again, this is another technique I've gone into detail in other videos. I've talked about this concept in other videos, but pretty much what the Pomodoro technique is, you sort of set a timer and work in intervals. So usually what you do is you set a timer for 45 minutes, then 5 minutes, and then at the end of the I'm sorry. So usually what you do is you set a timer for 45 minutes, then you work, then you take a break for 5 minutes, then you work for another 45 minutes, and you do this about 3 or 4 more times. And once you finish these 3 or 4 intervals, you take a 15-minute break or a 30-minute break. And then once you finish that 15 or 30-minute break, whatever you want it to be, then you get back to work, assuming you don't have more work to do. This is essentially the Pomodoro technique. Again, I've done other videos on it, so check those videos out if you're interested. But this is the thing I'd also recommend if you want to remove distractions and if you want to stay more focused. Now, I'd also avoid multitasking. There was a big myth back in the day that you can multitask. And the science is pretty clear on this. You cannot multitask. What humans do is they switch tasks quickly, almost like a computer. It's like switching your tabs on your computer. Humans more or less do the exact same thing. They think it's multitasking, but really what you're doing is you're just switching from one task to another really quickly. And the issue with that is whenever you switch from task to task, you leave a little piece of your focus on the previous thing you were doing. It's called attention residue. And so ultimately, if you're switching tasks too consistently, you almost burn yourself out mentally. And this is a quick way to guarantee you get nothing done because you multitask, and in the moment you feel like you're getting a lot of stuff done. In reality, you're doing a bunch of things in a very mediocre way and probably making very little progress. It's better to do one thing for like an hour or 2 hours and get a lot of work done in that one area than to try to do 10 things in that same hour and barely get any of those 10 things done. Does that make sense? Again, work closely with your planner. Your planner is there for a reason. It's a step-by-step process that'll show you throughout your entire day what you should be doing to have a successful day, a quote unquote successful day. Follow the planner, stick with the planner as best you can. Obviously, things come up in life that you can't avoid. Obviously, there are emergencies or maybe a meeting that is super urgent that you need to do now or a phone call, whatever. I totally understand that. Life happens. But to the best of your ability, stick to your planner. I cannot recommend that enough. Now, step number 5, the end of the day review. And this is pretty straightforward. At the end of the day, just review what you accomplished and what you didn't. When you start to plan your day out, there's this misconception that by simply planning your day out, you're going to get through everything on the planner. Planning your day is in itself a skill. It's like a muscle that needs to be built. You're not going to plan your day out the very first time and get everything done. To be honest, this is what I've learned over the past like decade. You'll almost never get everything done in your planner. It's virtually impossible. It's not impossible, but it's close to it. And the reason is because things always come up that you just don't expect. Maybe you have 2 hours blocked off on your calendar to do lead generation if you're a real estate agent. Your mom calls and you haven't talked to her in 2 weeks and you feel bad if you don't answer. So you talk to your mom and you plan on talking to her for 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes turns into an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours because it's been a long time since you've talked to her and it's been a great conversation. It happens. It's okay. This is why we review at the end of the day what you've accomplished and what you didn't accomplish. And more than just simply reviewing what was done and what wasn't done, you need to ask yourself, why did you not do something? Why didn't you do lead generation? Oh, because I was talking to my mom. Okay. Is that something that happens frequently? No. Cool. So tomorrow you can do lead gen. And if someone calls you and if it's not like urgent or important, maybe, delay that. Don't answer it right away. Call them back when you have time. As a side note, by the way, I really want to urge this. Just because people call you, that doesn't mean that you owe them your time. That's a big thing. I've learned in my life that a lot of people will call me, and if I don't answer, they get upset and they say, "Oh, why didn't you pick up my phone call?" As if I owe them my time. And it's like, well, I'm doing something right now, so I'll call you back once I'm finished the thing that I'm doing. Just because you call doesn't entitle you to my time. It doesn't mean that I need to pick up right away to see what's wrong. Um, I say this because I've just learned in my life. I've seen a lot of times in my life people have that mindset of if I call you, you should pick up the phone. It's like, no, I pick up when I choose to pick up. And if I don't think your phone call is important, I will not pick up the phone. Leave a text message, leave a voice note. I'm really anal about stuff like that. So if you couldn't tell by my mini rant just now, I dislike a lot of phone calls because the reality is that a lot of people call you on the phone for things that they determine to be urgent or important. And in my experience, 95% of the time, it's not that important. It could have easily been a text message or a voice note, or they could have just said to you when they next see you, or just not said anything at all. It's almost always not important. So keep that in mind because when you try to get more stuff done in your day and as you meet more people and as you try to level up and try to start a business or whatever it is you want to do, you're going to find that people will try to steal your time from you. Don't let them. It's up to you to determine what's important to you. To you. Don't let other people dictate your time based on what they find important to themselves. Does that make sense? But that's part of reflecting on what you accomplished in a day and what you didn't accomplish. Now, the final step, plan for the next day. Once you've taken the time to assess what you did correctly and what you did incorrectly, simply plan for the next day, just as you did the night prior. Restructure your day. Again, start with when you wake up, when you plan on going to bed, and throughout the entire day, fill in the gaps from the most important activity to the least important activity. And if you do this consistently, you will find yourself becoming more successful by the day. Now, just a quick recap before I end the video. The 6 steps to success based off the 1,000-minute rule. Calculate the total time available to yourself. And again, I've showed you the process that Ryan Serhant uses to get to the 1,000-minute rule. Know your worth. You need to know how much your time is worth. You need to have a value for your time to know if certain actions are worth doing in the first place. 3, plan your day. Don't wing your day. Don't attack your day haphazardly. Know exactly what you're going to do every single day so that you don't ghost in life. Number 4, execute the plan. Don't be the kind of person that just plans a day and hopes that the plan will take care of them. No, do the work. You have to do the hard work even when you do not feel like it. Execute on the plan you set for yourself. Step 5, review and reflect. There's no such thing as a perfect plan, but a poor plan today or a subpar plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Whatever the plan is, regardless of if you completed it in its entirety, reflect on what you did well, reflect on what didn't go so well, and come up with a strategy to make the following day better than today. Number 6, optimize. You're always sharpening the saw. You're always trying to find ways to get things done more efficiently. You're always trying to find ways to outsource things when they can be outsourced so you can have more of your time back. You're always finding ways to increase the value of your time. This is part of optimization. Hopefully this all makes sense. If you have any questions, as always, leave a comment below. I answer every single comment to the best of my ability. I'm sure I'll answer your question if you leave below. If you have other questions and you prefer to reach out to me on Instagram, please do so. It's Leviticus Rich. Just shoot me a DM and I'll answer it. If you like this video, please leave a like. It helps a lot. It boosts me in the algorithm and it lets more people who want to kind of find daily success and level up their lives. It helps them find this type of content as well. And the final thing, if you'd like to see more of these videos and you don't want to miss any, please subscribe to the channel so you can see more of my content. It would mean a lot to me and it would be super beneficial to you as well because I'm always dropping videos like this where I talk about how to become more productive, how to schedule your day more effectively, and how to ultimately find daily success. But with all that aside, I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.